Hello, everybody. Happy Easter Monday. Today's Monday, April the 21st. We're concluding the semester. This is the last class. I also have some nice questions asked by my students. I'm going to cover some of the important deliverables that are expected for the assignments or projects that you have due. So I'm going to cover that first. And then I'll go over usually today's presentation day. With you guys, I'm not doing presentations. We used to do the composite assignment. But I think now we're doing one presentation per semester, and you're also doing a presentation next semester with me in the UX UI class. Okay, so it's going to be a fun class. I'm going to cover some extra additional topics that has to do with animation, and it'll propel us in the next semester as well, and you'll have lots of fun doing it. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to share my screen as always. If you can't see my screen for any reason, please feel free to let me know. You know what happened to me last time? The record button didn't get pressed properly. So now it's like a double check to make sure it's recording. Make sure we don't have that happen again. It's sometimes it's a glitch by the way it's set up. Could be user error too. Maybe I double clicked it by accident. Could be many things. Alrighty. So let's go ahead, dive into our folder first. Some UX stuff. GDPW. This was the last semester. These are the websites that were handed in by my students in my last cohort. Okay. So if you look at, let's look at Mariana's folder for a second here. Actually, this wasn't the, okay. So Chen Chao, for example, right? Here we have the Photoshop file. The Photoshop file consists of all the website pages. So if I open that up, you'll see here, this is for the composite assignment that's due. All right, so this is the artboards that were presented. I'm only going to show you a few samples, okay? Because I don't want to waste too much time doing this, but you'll get the gist of it when I show you, right? So this is all the different artboards. I'm going to hide the guides. You can see there's the 12 columns, right? This is the first artboard, okay? This was the band that you guys are doing the same thing with the music band cover. And this was the about page, the home page. Home page is always like the biggest one, as you know, has a lot more information, the introductions and stuff. Then you have the more specific page, like about the band. So there's the band members and some of the songs. And don't notice how the footer and the menu always stay consistent. That's the thing you want to keep in mind when you're building websites. A lot of templates even present that choice to begin with. This is their music. So there's like some thumbnail gallery here of maybe their 4 famous tracks that they have. You can also load up more or less their albums. This is their merchandise page. And I know you're doing this in your other class. So this is how you can demonstrate that in the web page here in Photoshop, helping with your Illustrator class. And then finally, you have your contact page. Usually it's like a simple form people fill out to contact the band for some information or some show times or whatever it is that they want to contact them in regards to. So this is what the Photoshop file looks like. Okay, so if I show you like the layer structure, I'll, for example, select the home artboard. And the home artboard has all right, so there's your header, body, footer. Okay, I covered this a few weeks ago. I think it was class number 10, class number 10 or 11, if I'm not mistaken. You can rifle through the videos quickly and go halfway and see if I'm looking at a web page design in Photoshop. You can tell by my design if that's the video or not. And then they'll explain how to build this from scratch in case you did miss it, and how to produce the assets. So all this is done in Photoshop, of course. And it's not just the prototyping aspect of building design in Photoshop. Especially when you become good in Photoshop, it becomes easier. You can then open this, okay, in other programs like XD, and then build a prototype and stuff. Or you can duplicate the artboard and change it up a little bit. And again, I covered all this in my previous classes. The last part is when you go to File and when you go to Automate. Before it was under Export and Image Assets was there. Now it's under Image Assets. When this is checked on, what happens is when you save the page wherever on the desktop or whatever folder destination you choose, it'll generate the image assets associated with the web page. And the image assets are things like this: home socials.jpg. Oh, this one even has a subfolder. See, um, home header, look, PNG. So you can put the extensions on the actual files, and these extensions will become the actual files that will help you build the website in HTML. There's the body. Look at this. Gonna make this a little longer here. There we go. So again, Techno Concert 1, JPG, Techno Concert, because of the extension, and this image was basically placed inside the box of the container, it's going to export that image as this extension. Okay. Now, not everything is exported, like the YouTube is simply sourced from the YouTube platform, but all the images are sourced as JPEGs. And then this was well covered in my previous classes. That's how, once you set this up, and then you go to File, Generate, Automate, generator plugin, image assets. Once you check this on, wherever this is saved, I'll just do one more save right here on my desktop to show you. So I'm going to save this onto the desktop. Notice how there's no folder here called that. I'll make even a separate folder and call this Chan Chao, which is my previous student website. Okay. So Chan Chao's music website. I'll save the Photoshop file in that location. And because I have this feature enabled, the automate generator image assets, this will help you build the actual real web page, okay, or website. So there's the Photoshop file, and there's the assets folder that I'm talking about. So if we open this assets folder up, look, it's even subcategorized into separate folders. You can amalgamate this into one folder called images if you like. I don't really care how far you take this. It's up to you when you build a website. But even this will work because all these subfolders have the images that are there to help you plug into your HTML. Because all you do later is you drag and drop this inside your HTML. Not really drag and drop. You have to embed the codes, especially images. Like, it's all sized, ready to put into your HTML website. So it makes building a website that much more easier thanks to Photoshop's ability to export the image assets. And this is what's important and the main takeaway from what I was trying to show you. Not just a design thing, but an actual, front end development thing. So you can actually build the design using these image sources. Okay, there's the shop as well. There's all the merch that goes in there. And this was all, again, exported the way it was from that format. So those are the main key takeaways. And this was, again, demonstrated thoroughly in my lesson. Well, let me see what lesson it is, because some of you did ask, and I want to make sure I don't mislead you and give you the right direction there. So I'm going to double check. But you see, everything was exported thanks to the way the naming convention was. Like, if you look at the music page here, right? Right. So whatever see the PNG, all this stuff was exported, because you can even name the folder, not necessarily the layer. because this whole folder contains that layer of that design of the thumbnail that's gonna take you to the actual album that's playing, right? So you can export this whole block that I'm hiding and showing. Notice how it's in a group. And the main takeaway here again is putting a PNG extension after the group exports this as an image. And that's the beauty about doing this in Photoshop, because in that folder, there's images. Now, if you decide to export images individually as JPEGs and PNGs, you can do the same thing, but just encapsulates it easier in a folder, and you can export it as one design piece. And other things like this, let's say, let's see here. This was the these ones here, right? So this one is .jpg, just the image is exported like that. This is how you can utilize the automated plugin features in Photoshop. This is a new tool. It was introduced like well, not that new. I mean, it was probably over 5 years ago for sure, but it did revolutionize the way we exported images for websites as opposed to slicing them. And I cover that aspect as well, like the slice tool. That's a thing of the past. I still see some designers dabble with this method. I just find this more useful and more up to date. That's why I showed you both. But the slicing can still actually export this. Let's say I slice this website here. I can export this slice as an image under, file, export, save for web. Okay, but don't confuse the two methods. You stick with one or the other, and I suggest the one I just showed you. Okay, so I'm going to close this down. Don't save it. And just to show you something else. Anybody have a question? Matson, go ahead, or you just have your hand up.
Yeah, just a quick question. You show us like different folders, right? Can
Yes.
I just submit one? Because, for example, for me, it was repetitive to have like the footer. Well, I don't even have a footer on my website, but like the header and the background, I think those are the ones that are repeating. So basically, I just download one copy,
That's
not from
fine.
each
Yeah,
folder,
that's
just one.
perfectly fine. I understand your
Okay.
question. Yeah, you don't have to do 5 separate pages because a lot of them do repeat, and it makes sense to
Yeah.
reuse the same graphic throughout. I completely understand.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking just
Yeah,
one, but
yeah.
wanted to
No, that
confirm.
that makes logical sense, and I'm okay with that. No problems at all. Okay,
Thank you.
no problem. And back again to some of the other. No, I close that folder all the time here. Some of the other website examples here. Uh, I think I misplaced some of these. Here's another one here. This is the Photoshop file. I don't know why she gave me a PDF. I mean, you don't have to do a PDF, but whatever. Okay. I just need the Photoshop file, and these are the assets. So this is just to the question that Madsen just asked me. You don't need separate folders for every page. These were reused throughout. So there's sources that were exported from the Photoshop file. Okay. So you can see different students gave me different things, and they're both acceptable. Okay. Here's another one here. This one's not as organized. I do prefer a folder called assets. Don't just dump images in there like that. So I'm not the best example there. Where's another one here I can find you with? Again, here's the assets, okay, separately. Here's the website, okay? So website, Photoshop file, image assets, and this is just whatever, just a mock-up file, I guess. All right, so that's that. Now let's trigger the video here. When was this video done? I can't remember either, right? So weeks ago. I clearly
It's
describe my
actually,
videos. See, website build. There we go. Class 11, 12. Photoshop website generating assets and prototyping. So it was not too long ago, actually. It was like 2 classes ago. So this one has that in there. Generating assets and prototyping. Class 10, we did website built, low to high fidelity. So these 2 classes were geared towards that. Okay. So if you watch the video, you're going to see all this stuff, how I did it. Okay, and then we did animation and timeline the last class. Sorry, were you gonna repeat what I just said? Okay. So now when is the just want to make sure. So it's due today. That's the due date, okay? If you stumble across handing it after midnight, you want to give it to me tomorrow, something happens, it's acceptable because it is Easter Monday. So I don't want to give you that extra grace period, but just so you know, don't stress yourself out as long as I have it by tomorrow, okay? So I can maybe change the extension if you want till tomorrow, but I don't have to. Just hand it in, okay? Do your best, okay? Do it by tomorrow. If you're overloaded, I don't want to have you guys stressed out for the end of the semester. So just do that. Don't worry about it, okay?
Thank you
So,
so much.
yeah, you're welcome. Okay. All right. And yeah, so that's that. And now we have what's left is the assignment. So this is your the last one, the animation. Okay, that's also due today. That one you can do today with me. So once I finish my lesson, I think I stuck around the last class. Some people even handed it in. So this is what you can do for me today. Okay. And even this, if you overlap it by tomorrow, I mean, it's as long as I have it today or tomorrow. Okay. All right. So let's go now and do the actual class because I did want to demonstrate one more part of the animation settings. You want to see some of the animation deliverables I got from the students as well?
Yes.
Might as well. Let me show you because I did show you the composite assignments, and this is the motion design assignment. All right. This is one right here. Hope you guys had lunch or late lunch or supper, whatever. It's coming up. This is food. So it just keeps looping and presents different food items. And I think the burger is the last one, right? Here's another one here. This one was frame by frame. Okay, it wasn't even used the motion tween, but the fact that there was a lot of work put into it and some other animation principles, it did a good job actually. It's kind of fun. I want you to have fun with this too, you know. I know it's this one I had an issue with. It was locked in for a bit. Excuse me. Right? So don't do the Air Miles and the Air Canada commercial. Do something different. And this is what they did there. This was before the holidays, so we did this right before the year. It's like a little greeting card. Good way to hand out to people. Same thing here, another holiday message. You do those e-cards. The passport ad. Pretty nice. They did a good job with this group here. This one did an MP4 file. Um, you can export instead of a GIF, you can export a movie file. Today I'm going to show you how to do that. So if you want to do the next thing I'm going to show you today, that's okay. Okay, but this is it's a different format. Here we did. Okay. All right. So as you can see, they had lots of fun with this. similar to the Air Mouse commercial. I think this one was not completed. Sometimes the timing is also important. If it does glitch like this, you have to probably adjust the delay on the frames. So there's no, delay. It just has zero, or no delay means zero. Otherwise, this is gonna happen. It's gonna looks like it's has a hesitation in every frame. All right, and this is a video as well, I think. Yeah, so we'll do the video as well. All right. And like I said, you can pick any theme, whether it's basketball, your favorite basketball player, the late Kobe Bryant, things like that. You guys can pick any theme. Okay, so that was some of the motion design assignments I received from my last class. Okay, so same thing with us here. I did the same delivery of the lesson. I'm going to show you one more aspect today of the animation or video export. So if you want to include this next segment or this new um, element of creating motion design, you can feel free to do so. Okay. All right. So let's start with the class now. Enough with the demonstrations. If you have any other questions or suggestions, let me know. The due dates are set. I gave you an extra day if you need it. It is due tonight, by the way, by midnight. But if I do see a day late or tomorrow or something like that, I'll still accept it and you won't be penalized. Okay, so just make sure you do it. All right, so let's start now with the lesson. We're gonna go right down to the last module here, which is the class 14, wrapping it up. It's called video motion design.zip. This is visible to you now. It wasn't visible before. This is just stuff where we left off last week. I'm going to see what's in this folder by downloading it to my desktop. Ready? And here. This is the folder I'm extracting. You do have a sound file. I downloaded the sound file from my library. So you can just play music. As long as it's an MP3 audio format, you can actually put music in your animation. We have a volleyball, okay? This is just something we can work with. We'll have an Expedia logo. So we're doing another travel commercial. And we have a beach vacation image. We got this off the internet. And we have a beach vacation. This is the Photoshop file we designed. And the conclusion was we did a YouTube commercial done in Photoshop. And you can do simple commercials like this with motion elements and motion design elements put together. This is what the commercial looks like. So that's pretty much what we did, and I'm going to demonstrate how to do that in this segment today. So if you want to do a little like a video, this is an MP4, then you can send this to your other social media network or channel. This one has audio. So the main takeaway here is audio. Okay. Another one is rotation. Look, the ball is rotating and getting smaller and bigger. The logo is enlarging in size. So you can do motion, scale, rotation. So you can do a lot more advanced animation features using this format than the one I showed you last week. Now, a lot of the projects that you saw from the previous students, they stuck with the last week's lesson, which is perfectly fine. But if you want to do something different, now we have the TikToks and all the other newer platforms that are really engaged in videos and stuff, you can create a video format. So having said that, if you want to, let's say, create a little TikTok thing and you want to make it that size, you can resize the actual format. Okay, so let's see, TikTok size guide. So it's 720, 1280. Okay, so it's a little reverse than what we have. 1080 by 1920 pixels, but it's portrait. Okay, so portrait means it's it's vertical, not horizontal, right? So that's the ratio. So you can always look it up. And if you do look at our criteria here, you'll see the same thing. Let's see the so I did make it 1080 by 1080 pixels, which is good for your Instagram and other posts and stuff. But if you want to even Facebook, but if you want to do like a video format, then you can do yeah, I'll just do video here or video, and I'll do the TikTok in brackets, 1920 by 1080p. And this is standard for video, okay? So it's going to be vertical, right? So that's your or, okay? So or keyword here. Okay. This is all right, just to kind of be clear on that. All right, so today we're going to be doing this one, but I didn't really do a vertical one. Maybe I'll do a vertical one. Okay, I'll just switch it up. So we'll do like a TikTok latest release here for the video. All right, so that one's the updated file, and I'm gonna close this one down. So let's go ahead and start. Let me show you first what I did with the other exercise file, and this was the demo. If I open the Photoshop file, because it should contain everything that was built. There it is. I do have the grid. If the grid does help you, you can definitely toggle it on and off. I use the Command apostrophe shortcut to hide it or show it like that. Of course, the other one is the guides and the grid. That's just your default views. You do have to open the timeline, okay, in order to see the video. Here I have it kind of hidden here. So I'm going to drag it and snap it to the bottom of my application. There we go. Okay, so it snaps, it's docked. And here I have my tracks. So the way you want to work with more advanced, sophisticated motion design programs like After Effects. We used to call After Effects Photoshop on steroids, basically, because you can do a lot more stuff that you can do in Photoshop, but the difference is you're working with a very complex timeline. And this is what the complex timeline looks like. So if you bring in a logo, okay, and you bring in a volleyball, these are all the different layers that are presented here. We even have what we added an audio track, and the audio track was something we grabbed externally, imported it here, and basically that's how you add audio. You click on this little audio button and you do it. You can then control the mute or the functionality of the audio and so on and so forth. These little pluses here, they just add, or you can just add sources that way as well. The most important thing is here is the timeline. Wherever this timeline is, it's what is actually happening at that given, time ratio in your selections, additions, and placements and things like that. So you have to make sure the timeline is located, let's say here, in order to insert something like this. So you always work in sequence, very similar to how we approached it last week. And this is basically 10 seconds, okay? So 10 seconds, and it's as many frames as the 10 seconds happens to be. And this is how this is done. Now, to take advantage of the more advanced motion design techniques here, you have to open up these little triangular pop down things. And this, you'll see there the more advanced features in Photoshop, which is a derivative from After Effects. You have things like transform, opacity, and scale. This is what makes this a little more robust, okay, a little more advanced when it comes to animation. Now, I never taught this before. This was all just because we have the extra lesson remaining. I always like to teach my students some extra knowledge. So this is something that if you want to get into motion design is worth knowing. Okay. As far as handing in your assignment and getting your nice grade, you can do that with this simple technique I demonstrated last week. If you already finished it, hand it in. Don't worry about it. You're just learning new things here. Okay. So always learning new material. Same thing here. You have transform, opacity, and style. Style is the effects. Opacity is the opacity. Transform is actually two things. You can do scale. Actually, let's three things: scale, rotation, and movement. So position is movement. Rotation is when you rotate something, like 360 or 180. And scale is when you make something bigger or smaller. As you can see here, I did the same thing here with the logo. So I started over here, this little keyframe, okay? So this little keyframe, I added the transform keyframe, and I started off with the opacity being, I guess let's double check here, at 10% opacity, and the transform, the position happens to be there. Now, when I went to frame, the 7-second mark here, if I click on this little keyframe, the little yellow diamond, I increased the size of the logo, and I also increased the opacity to 100%. And then when I went to frame I made it constant. I did nothing from here to there. And then as I went further down in time, like the exit, here I made the position was, I think I just moved this by accident. The position was off the stage. We'll call this as the stage, old terminology I'm using here, and or the artboard. And this was the opacity, which was back to, it stayed the same at 100%. So that's how you can basically um, apply your animation tactics or motion design techniques in Photoshop, utilizing the very same principles you learn from After Effects. And After Effects is a really, really great software. Just to show you, it's right over here. Okay, so After Effects. Okay, you do have it. It is part of your Creative Cloud membership. So if you do want to learn a really great software for motion design, I think we even had a course in motion design at Humber that students took afterwards. So it's a really, really good thing. You get to learn some pretty cool motion design animation stuff. Another animation software that what took over the actual Flash. It's called Adobe Animate 2024. Really, really cool software. A good portion of my year's teaching was spent teaching this stuff here. Like my passion was done for interactive multimedia, and I used to work with programs like Director, Flash. You probably remember some of these names I'm dropping right now, and a lot of the stuff kind of dissipated. Call it political kind of motives and stuff. A lot of these programs didn't survive, but the only transition was Flash. When Adobe acquired it, they bought the program. Apple wasn't really big on plugins on telephone, cell phones and stuff, so that's why it didn't really work out too well. And it was transformed into Adobe Animate. So Adobe Animate is the actual old Flash. You can do some real cool animations in Adobe Animate. So if you do want to again take this next level of animation, this is another program you want to use. It's taking too long to load, so I'm not going to waste any more time, but that's another one I would recommend. So just to follow up again, After Effects, Adobe Animate, two great programs you might want to explore with. But this is a good beginner type of tutorial to show you how that works. So you can then segue your way to learning more advanced stuff. There's tons of tutorials online and lots of Adobe support as well. All right, so let's go ahead and start this lesson. I'm going to show you how to build this thing now that I gave you a demo. I'm going to integrate the same principles I did with this ad. The only difference is I'll probably make it a TikTok size, and I'll create some basic animations. Okay, and we're working with layers, so space to time. That's the analogy here. So I'm going to create a new document, new. I'm going to go to film and video because that's where the 1080, 1920, 1080p is. It's the same ratio as your cell phone. Not all cell phones are the same, but it does capture most of the media formats. And I will make this vertical. So I just changed this to vertical. So it's 1080, 1920, 72 DPI, RGB color mode. Let's make it happen. All right. Now, this is the thing you're going to get asked. Last week, we did frame animation. We're not doing this again this week. We're going to create a video timeline. So the video timeline is how we're going to start this next segment. So by clicking that and acknowledging it, by clicking again, you're going to create a video timeline to start with. This is by default your layer 0. This could be like a background of some sort. So why don't I go ahead and make something using my artificial intelligence computing power here with Photoshop. I'm going to make a selection like this, or just select the whole thing to create a background. I'm going to press Command A. All right, I'm going to go to Window and open up my contextual taskbar. I'll create a generative fill right now. Some students asked me last week, how do you put a fill in the background? Well, you have to have a selection. If you have no selection, it doesn't really know exactly where you're filling it. So you have to have a selection in order for this tool to work. All right, so I'm gonna make this a very futuristic vacation background. I don't know how this will look like, but let's try it out. Maybe I'll be more specific with the beach and the water and the sand and stuff. I just got that picture off the internet. Right, so this is something that I'm getting now. Right. I like this last one. It's nice and fun. It's got some sandals there. Not the greatest, but I'll go with it for now. This will be my background of choice. As you can see here, this is my layer. I'm just going to hit Command E. Command E will just merge the layers together and make this a background layer. Okay. I will call it background. Okay. So this is basically how my background layer will be. I'm also going to extend this background as long as I want. If I want to do a 10-second commercial, okay, then I will have to do this is the 10 seconds right here. So be careful how you move this around. There's another bar down here that zooms in. This is how you zoom in and zoom out of or panning the timeline. So this is, you can go right to 10 seconds, maybe even 15 seconds. Let's make it a little shorter. If you want to do 20 seconds, you can do 20 seconds and you can really, really extend this timeline. Okay, so 20 seconds is what I set it to be. This is just, if you notice here, when you're dragging this around, if you hold shift, it'll stop and snap to the exact 20 seconds. It does constrain basically. Okay. All right. Let's generate another option here. I mean, I could use my folder. I'll just use this volleyball because it's already nicely cleaned up for me. I'll reuse this Expedia logo, but I won't use the background because I made my own background, right? But I will use the soundtrack because it did. I don't want to. You can't make this. It's a different AI software to make music. You can just get one from the internet or another MP3. You can download your favorite MP3 song and use that as your background soundtrack. Okay. So these are my resources still. And if you want to use this background, you can feel free to do so. Okay. So let's go ahead and use that one. Use those resources. Keep this here. All right. I got Photoshop here. I got my sources here, and I got my blackboard on my left screen. Perfect. I'm gonna keep my screens organized. So let's import the volleyball now. We established our duration, which is 20 seconds. That's how long our video is going to be. I don't need this anymore, this AI tool. I can just go to hide bar. It does get distracting. Okay. I will go to file. So look at my playhead. This is called the playhead. I'm going to go right to the beginning because there I'm going to insert the new um, cast or the new character coming into my presentation here. I'm going to minimize this window. I'm going to use the move tool. That's your primary tool of selection or selecting items. I'm going to go to file, place. You can do linked or embedded. The difference is if you link it, you can then replace it with another image in its place. You can substitute the graphics. So we'll explore this option here and maybe demonstrate that. I have to go to the desktop and look for my folder. And there I'm going to bring my volleyball in, right? PNG file. There it is. Right. So I'm going to bring in my volleyball. I can resize it bigger and smaller. I can also rotate it. I can do whatever setups at once. But this is basically how the volleyball is going to go. I'll have it come in from the top right corner. It's going to drop and rotate at the same time. So it's going to drop and rotate, perhaps bounce away. So it's going to kind of do like a bounce effect motion. I'm just making this stuff up on the fly, right? This is how I can keep my job exciting when I do these things. I always do things spontaneously. I even have students give me suggestions and we make a plan on the board and we just make it happen, right? Because that's the whole point. The plan is there. I mean, I know what I'm showing you guys, but I want to keep things a little more fun and spontaneous. I would create a storyboard just to show you how storyboards work. I don't want to kind of just give you verbal instructions. I want to show you examples. So these are animation storyboards. Animation storyboards is how the professionals use a plan in order to present an animation. So this is something that you can see here, how you can draw a picture of the box, what happens and this and that. You can write little notes of what happens. It's like a comic strip. The comic strip will basically present the animation. I don't know if you're familiar with some of the popular anime series. A lot of the manga books that they made were actual, you know, comic books, right? Japanese comic books, even other cultures, similar thing with comic books or comic strips. And now they become really, really famous, you know, series of classical animations. Even Netflix is really cashing in on some of the more important titles because that's how they're doing right now. They're converting these into animations. And if you notice some of those manga series, they're all animated books, comic strips that convert them into animations, like real, studio animations. And it's like $1 billion industry, right? So this is kind of where, no, nothing different than what happened 20 years ago with other animations and other things. All right, so same thing here. You can create a storyboard and then drop this in here. I would draw this sketch of a volleyball, a background, very simple. I would make a sketch, and then I would say on my next frame of my drawing picture, I'm going to have the ball bounce here, then over there. I would plan that. I would not just make it up from the top of my head. But I'm doing this right now because I'm showing you you can do either or. You don't have to plan it, but it's better if you're working with a team of decision makers, art directors and movie directors. You want to present a case before you do it. You don't want to just do something and say, do you like it? It doesn't work like that, right? You have to present a storyboard. Everybody agrees. Everyone signs it, and then you execute the actual animation. All right, so here we go. I'm going to start from here. I got my this is my storyboard, guys. I already have it presented. You guys are the board. You all approve of what my idea was. I draw a little picture of the ball bouncing and stuff, and you're like, yeah, that's great. Let's go ahead and make it happen. And I'm gonna make it happen right now. Now, when I drop the volleyball in, I think the default it gave me was like 5 seconds. Okay, so 5 seconds is where this was, and it's right there. Or sorry, 4.5 seconds. 5 seconds, yeah, because I can see here 5 seconds. Okay, so this is how you can also control the playhead by doing this. You can set the current time by typing in the the numbers, and you can actually go to that exact point of time reference. So it's going to start from here. The ball's going to bounce. I think 5 seconds is enough. 5 seconds. I'm going to expand my transformation tools here by clicking on this little triangle. And if I want to tell a story now, I'm going to start from the beginning here. And I'm going to include the transform feature. So transform will be checked on, this little stopwatch icon clock. I know it's very tiny and small, but you have to kind of keep an eye out for it. Once that's checked on, the animation keyframe is inserted. And that now tells Photoshop to hold that keyframe for that object to stay there or to start from here. Now, as I go further in time, right to the end here, right? I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to click on this little diamond to add a frame, or you can remove a frame. So you can go click, or you can click to remove it, right? So I think option, it was a shortcut to get rid of it. But anyway, so you add another keyframe, and once the keyframe is selected, then you can create the actual in between, just like we did last week. But last week was very traditional in terms of doing it frame by frame, and then we selected both frames and we said tween, and then we did in between. We typed a number and it drew in between. This is more like a keyframe approach. So when I click on this keyframe, I can then move this ball into a position that I want it to go to, right? Like that. So if I move the playhead now, you can see it's kind of travel from here to there because of the keyframe. If I hold shift, it's going to snap right to it. Okay, there we go. Also, what I wanted to do is do my transform here. This is 28 degrees. I am going to type maybe 300. Oh, 180 is the most you can type in. So let's do 180. So 180 means the ball will go this way, okay? So it's going to be a rotation. I'll have to zoom in here a little more. Because it's hard to select these frames. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so maybe position the playhead and then click on the keyframe to select it better. You can also do minus 180. If it doesn't work, because it does do the glitching thing sometimes, you could literally do it manually, and this works as well. So if you do a manual motion, it'll do that way as well, okay? So you can do a manual transformation. If you pass a certain threshold, it might not listen to you. Just kind of do this. There we go. Okay, so I think this is fine. Get too specific here, but it's kind of move and rotate, something we couldn't do in the previous demonstration. So it'll take us 5 seconds to get here, and then another 5 seconds for it to go away, bounce away from the stage. I'm going to make this a little shorter and longer to see my next animation. That means I will have to extend my my duration of the volleyball. I'm going to move it to frame 10. And then I'm going to move the playhead at frame 10. Just before, like that. And there I'm going to position another keyframe by clicking on this little diamond icon. So it's going to go jump from here, bounce, and then bounce away. So this one's going to go all the way this way. Maybe even away from the stage. If you hold the command key, you can kind of see where everything is. And If you really can't see it, you can use the move tool to move it back and forth. I'm going to press Command T again, and I'm going to move it a little more that way. So it's going to rotate as well. It's going to bounce, rotate, and bounce away to the stage. So I just made that animation. Let's press play, and we'll have to see how it works. Boy, that's really slow. That's the slowest bouncing ball ever. Okay. Now keep in mind it's rendering. That means it's using the processing power to play the animation. So it is a little slower than normal, but I still think it's slow regardless. So what I'm going to do now is basically make it faster by reducing this. You don't have to be all specific, like 2 seconds through. You can just go like 2.12, and this will be, maybe 4.02. So it's going to be a little less of a jump from here to there. And I just made this go faster and shorter. I'm going to move this duration less. So now it's going to go like this. You see that? It's going to bounce in and out a lot more faster because I gave it less time. All right. If I wanted to go even faster, I'll make it even more or segment it even shorter. Okay. And then make this shorter as well. You can increase the zoom features more or less here. And that's how you can do basically almost any type of animation in Photoshop using the advanced keyframe methods. So what happens is when this ball bounces away, somewhere along further down in time, we'll have Expedia introduce their, presence, like the brand name of the vacation promotion that we're doing. So just after this, I'm gonna introduce the new layer. So let's go ahead and go to File, Place Linked. There's the Expedia logo. Notice how it starts from here. You don't have to worry about having this checked on or checked off because that was only for the frame animations. I will make the logo just a tad smaller, position it in the right area, press enter. And what happens is when the ball bounces, the Expedia logo comes in. Now I'm going to have it, I'm going to show you more advanced keyframe methods. We'll have it, I want this perfectly centered. So I'm going to press Command A up here, centered, centered. See that? Maybe it's a little too low to that dot, so I'm just going to move it up a little bit. Oh, I shouldn't do that. Just have some space. All right. So I want the logo to not just show up, but I mean, you could, but you can have it kind of zoom in, fade in, that kind of stuff to show you some more advanced animation techniques. And maybe I can add something else afterwards. Okay. Travel. What's their slogan? What's Expedia's slogan? We can write it in there. Made to travel. How convenient. So made to travel is we're going to add that blurb after we do the logo in positioning. So that's how we're going to present this ad to work. So having said that, let's do our due diligence with the logo first. Again, just collapse this little, we did the basic keyframes of the ball bouncing. And by the way, the ball bounce is the most popular animation class in most animation colleges. They teach you the bouncing ball because you have to learn how keyframes work and how to make the ball look realistic and follow the rules of gravity and that kind of stuff. So we're kind of doing that right here. Maybe not much rules of gravity here, but enough to make the ball bounce. I don't want to turn this into an advanced animation class, although, that's not my expertise either. I just take it to a certain level and that's it. So Expedia comes in here. I'm going to open the keyframe settings. So now I see all three things. This time I'll do the transform and I'll do opacity. You can even do style. You can have a like glow and stuff like that. But sure, let's do all three because you can only do three. So having said that, let's double click and give it a style. Style means like outer glow, very similar to what we did last week. Okay, so maybe I'll do like a nice outer glow. it'll basically do that. Okay, that's the effect. But first you set it up. Also, the Expedia logo will be a lot smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and make it smaller in size, like that. I'm also going to make the opacity a lot less. So instead of 100% opacity, I'm going to give it 10% opacity so we can barely see it. So I'm presetting this outcome to be from smaller and opaque to 100% opacity and, bigger in size, scaled. And then I'll have a glow after. So it's like a cool little realistic effect you see on television and things like that, on advertisements and stuff. So now that we set it up, let's go further in time. We know how short this was, so let's not elongate it too much. We're going to go just around this portion here, around the 4-second mark right here. We're going to repeat these keyframes. We're going to do transform, opacity, and style. Okay. And having said that, we're going to increase the opacity to 100%. So it's 100% visible. We're also going to select the logo and press Control T, expand its size. Okay, so it's going to be that big. So basically, it's going to do this. See, it's going to come right in. It's going to be the ball bounces, and the Expedia logo comes right in there. And then we'll put the slogan. As the slogan is showing, which is made to travel, I'm going to have the logo start glowing. Maybe I'll put the slogan down here. I have this nice white space I can work with. So that's what's going to happen in my um, plan. Okay, my sketchbook or my storyboard, they call it, right? So from here to there, let's go another, I don't know, maybe this many frames, the 5-second mark. 5-second mark. How do I know my 5 seconds? Look at the bottom left corner. 500 means 5 seconds. 5 seconds, I'm going to hit transform, opacity, and style. Always do the three. You can't go wrong. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to address all three keyframes, but those are the three I'm going to do. I'm going to double click on outer glow and enhance the actual outer glow effect. Make sure it's selected. I'm going to increase the spread and the size to make it look like that. Okay. So it's going to zoom in, fade in, zoom in at the same time, and then do the nice glow effect. And while it's happening, I'm going to present the caption here. Okay, so the main caption will be made to travel, from what I remember there. Made to travel. Just copy and paste or just retype it. It's up to you. I'm going to use this create my own text here. It's fairly easy to do. Let's go further out away from the keyframes around here somewhere. And there I'm going to introduce the new cast member. So I'm going to close this timeline as well. Insert a new layer by simply using my text tool. I'll create just a normal horizontal text tool. I'm going to click over here and just hit Command V, which is made to travel. Not too big of a fan of the font there. And perhaps I'll do like some kind of a something's happening with my typographical settings here. So I'll go to character just to kind of reset it. There's my character styles here. I do have 112% scale. I don't know why that happened, guys, but let's make it this is 109. Delete. Delete. Okay. So I'm gonna make it 0. You can also do reset character. That also does a good job. If you want to just reset it, probably easier. Railway medium. The size will be 56 points. Perhaps I can do more. 72. I can also do Command T and just make it any size I want visually. And this will be the little caption that shows up after. Made to travel. I want this to be the same color as one of my colors that are kind of surrounding my landscape here, my background. So I'm going to use the, don't forget the character palette color is up here, not over here. So if you want to change this black to something else, you simply click on it. You can change it to any color of your choice. Okay, so I can maybe go with this dark purple color just to match the ambience a little better there. Okay, darker. Okay, so made to travel, maybe a tad smaller so it doesn't take over my logo. So left, center, right, perfectly centered. And this will just kind of come up by itself. If this was a solid color, I can really show you some neat trick you can do with this. You can probably do it anyways. It's going to be really cool. I can move it in, or I can just have it like, looks like it's typing in like a typewriter. And the typewriter, if I want to do that part, I'll have to just quickly make the background a solid color. So I'm going to go with this brighter sand color here. Use the eyedropper tool, make a selection, and or just use the magic wand, I guess, or the paint bucket even. Very simple. Paint bucket. Background there. There we go. I just made it the same color. We're also going to create a rectangle. The same color as well. On top of my slogan, okay? So the rectangle is going to be here. It's going to type made to travel. It's going to type it out like this typewriter effect. To do that, I'm going to make this a little bigger, like that. I'm going to color this so you can see what I'm doing here. I'll purposely color it this purple color or this blue color so you can see my dummy rectangle, and it's going to reveal the letters one letter at a time. So it's going to create this typing effect made to travel. And I can play this music after in the background and I'll wrap up this ad, okay? So this will be very blank for now. It'll cover it. I'll change the color of the rectangle after, okay? And this is the same duration as that. It's gonna go to 10 seconds. We're gonna make this a 10-second commercial. If it goes a little over, that's fine, but that's my plan here. I know we had bigger ambitions earlier, but 20 seconds is too long. People's attention span's a little less these days, you know. You're lucky if you get 3 seconds out of people, right? So let's make it 10 seconds, and that's enough. You have to deliver the message in 10 seconds, or else your audience is gone. Okay. That's how we're, unfortunately, this is the age we're at. The patience level's gone. Right. So we're going to do this last little bit here. So if I hide this rectangle, okay, you can see how behind it you have the text. We're going to open that rectangle's position properties. Oh, look, even has a vector mask position and a vector mask enable. I'll be honest with you, there's no need to dive too deep in these things, but you can, I guess, if you want to create such a thing. Okay. So I'm just gonna keep it simple for now. I'm gonna enable my position. Well, maybe it is the mask position. I'll use both. So that vector mask position, I guess I'll do both elements. Let me just see if it's gonna work. Go to this one here. Right. So maybe in this case, it has to be a vector mask position because that's the vector shape. Makes sense, right? If I was to delete these, by the way, to delete keyframe, just press delete. Yeah, so these are, when you do positions on masks and vector shapes, you have to use and this is honestly, I just remember this right now, you have to use the vector mask position tool. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go this far with this example, but it's good to know these things in case you do want to use a vector mask like this. So you position it on top. We start at the very beginning. We create a vector mask position, okay? And there's also a vector mask enable. That's kind of cool too. I never dabbled with this one yet, so I'm not going to bother, but I'll explain it after maybe. I can experiment with it. Just going to delete it. So there's the vector mask position, and I tested it to make sure it works, right? And that's going to go, well, it's really slow if it goes all the way to 10 seconds. So it's going to go from 5 to 7, like maybe 2 seconds. So over here, it's going to be another keyframe, vector mask position, and I'm going to move this all the way away from the stage like this. I mean, I could even move it out, but this is enough for it to work. Now, if we match the same color, it's going to look like someone's typing it in there. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to click on this rectangle here, open up the properties, double click on the fill, simply double click on the little color bar here, and just match this taupe color on the background. So it's going to look like it's being typed. Nice and slow, right? And then that stays, and then I guess the commercial is done. We don't even have to go 10 seconds, but in case I want to do something else, we can. Maybe we can have the ball coming back. Okay. Yeah, why not? Let's have the ball come back. We'll have a nice ending to this animation. So after this happens, you can then bring back some existing keyframes here. There's the volleyball. Now, I don't want to mess up this sequence here. So we'll perhaps bring in, let me see if I can copy it. Yeah, I gotta have a separate track for it. So you could actually duplicate it. Okay, you can duplicate the layer. If you want to introduce it twice, okay, you'll have to do a copy because it's going to mess up the original sequence. It's very specific, as you know. So I'm going to have to just simply bring it here somewhere, okay? Right around here, I'm going to duplicate the layer and introduce the volleyball again, okay? Maybe just after this is introduced, so around 7+ seconds mark. Where's the volleyball? Here's the volleyball, Command J. So there's another copy of the volleyball right over here. It's going to come back to the stage. And not so much. Stop at 10 seconds. Maybe a little too long, but still work. Coming a little later. So again, I'm going to expand the volleyball layer here. I'm going to add the transform keyframe. And then I'm going to go right around here somewhere. Oh, the Expedia logo disappeared. So make sure the Expedia logo is also visible. Notice how it's there and it's not here. So if that happens, simply expand the duration of that layer to also be present in the other timeline. Basically, if you do what I'm doing here, rubbing the playhead, you can see it, okay? So I'm going to go right over here, put another transform keyframe, and then bring in the ball to come into position here again. Right there. And yes, I will do a little quick transform. I like to do it manually, so it looks like it's bouncing that way. It's a little fast. Then I'll expand it slower. It's going to go a little slower. And then stop. And this is the end of our ad. It'll play a little after, that's fine, but that's gonna stop right there. I basically built this like telling a story as I was explaining every step of the way, and I was bringing things in as I went along. I started with nothing. I even made the background in AI and then just build my stuff on top of it. This is how fun and easy this can be if you take it step by step. Keep in mind, it's frustrating, especially the first time you do this. So just remember the keyframes are very sensitive. Try and try again. And that's the only way to get through this. I make mistakes doing this a lot too. Sometimes I have to redo it from scratch because it gets a little out of sorts. But it's worth the reward once you get it done, and you're acquiring a pretty special skill here of creating an advanced timeline animation with inheriting the same keyframe principles and techniques of After Effects, which is the industry leader motion design software. So Photoshop inherited the very same tools. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's play it first before we introduce the audio. I'm gonna make this a little over here. There we go. All right, let's press play. It'll play a little faster, I think, naturally on the video, but we'll see. There we go. Right. And we can charge Expedia $2.5 million for this production, okay? Ads are not cheap, right? They pay for advertising money. All right, that's all that work for a quick 10-second commercial. And you can see like a lot of these production houses, they spend, days, weeks, months producing a lot of different segments of commercials and like a campaign basically of various commercials and stuff. Okay. So let's go ahead now and how do we make this an actual movie and how do we bring in audio? So I'm going to bring this up a bit here. Here's my audio track. I'm going to go right to the beginning, hit this little plus button here, okay, and bring in my after hours jazzy audio track. It's a little longer than I wanted to be, so I'm just gonna go all the way to the end and just bring it all the way in like this, okay? Um, I think that's it. You can't do too much audio editing. It's not an audio editing software, but if you go to programs like Rush or of course Premiere, After Effects, you can fade in the audio and fade it out. You can even pre-edit it and bring it in, right? There's different ways of doing it. But I think this will work for now. Then we have the commercial playing. Let's test our audio now. All right. Our Photoshop work is done. Now let's export this to an MP4 format and publish it on TikTok or YouTube or any other channel that you like. It's made for TikTok, so that's the channel we just have to use to upload the video. I'm not gonna do the TikTok with you guys. I'm sure you know how to upload files in your channels there, but all you have to do is have it available on your phone somewhere. Maybe you can download it on your Google Drive or send it to yourself on an email, download it, and simply upload it from your social media channel. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Believe it or not, I haven't even saved this yet. It's untitled. So I'm going to save it right now. I'm going to call it TikTok on the computer. First of all, save it on TikTok video advert. I'm also going to do save local on my computer. TikTok video advert, PSD. I'm saving it as a Photoshop file. Right? So you always have to save the Photoshop file first. Because this way, when something happens, you can always, there's your Photoshop file. So when you hand this in, I want to see the Photoshop file and the video file. Or if you're doing a GIF, send me the animated GIF, the lesson I demonstrated last week, and that's okay too. But how do I make a video file from Photoshop? This is another thing that wasn't possible before. So to convert this into a video, like an MP4, you can play on most players and movies and stuff, you have to go to File. Okay. It's not under, save as. You're not going to save a video from save as or export, right? Or save a copy, I mean. But what you can do is you can go export all the way to the bottom here. You have what's called render video. So render video has the capability to export a video format from Photoshop into your favorite video extension. For example, the default is this current standing is the MP4. Okay. And that's the one you want to stick with because that's the one that works. I'm going to save this into my folder here. You can select a different folder if you like. That one is okay. This is the format, the H.264. It's a pretty good 2025. It's been around for a number of years now. It works as a good compressor or a compression format that works with the MP4. So you don't want to change anything here. You could do QuickTime or DPX, by the way, which is the other two formats. You can control the quality. So I'm going to go with high quality. You want to reduce the file size, you can go lower or higher. You also have mobile device formats. Okay. So I'm going to stick with high quality for now. You could change the size though. Okay. It'll just maybe wreck your composition. So please don't do that. Just stick with high quality because you want to stick with the dimensions 1080, 1920p. Frame rate is 30 frames per second. That's how fast videos play. So everything pretty much is left at default. You don't have to change anything. There's 305 frames total at 30 frames a second. Do the math, it's about 10 seconds. And there's also some drop frames that happen along the way. So just make sure you check your parameters and then you hit the render button. And that's how it's going to render the MP4 video for you with the audio included. So it's independent, and you can just dump it into any media package and it's good to go. So now not only you know how to use Photoshop to build websites or concepts for websites, prototypes, and even the assets that can help you deliver the real website in HTML, you can even make animations and video for other popular platforms that are out there that you integrate with almost daily, which is your TikToks, your Instagrams, and all that kind of stuff. And the fact that you guys have the power to create and design right now, it's pretty extraordinary. All right, there's our video commercial for TikTok. How big is it? It's 12 megabytes. Honestly, it's not that big considering I've seen a lot larger files for video. 12 megabytes. You can even email this to yourself because even Google allows you to email up 30 megabytes. Let's go ahead and press play. A lot smoother than what I expected. So pretty happy with that. And this is what the video ad will look like. All right. So from start to finish, we demonstrated how to do something like this. And you can now utilize your skills in Photoshop and turn them into some pretty cool animated, make your designs come to life, as we say, right? Make something really captivating, whether it's your previous projects or current designs, or even some new designs. You can really take Photoshop to the next level. All right, so that was the last segment of today's demonstration class. I wanted to give you guys special thanks for joining me every week out here. Pleasure meeting all of you in the class. I'm going to wrap up the video segment now and take some questions after. So having said all that, I wish you all the very best going forward. I'll see you in the next semester, and I hope you guys had a lot of fun, a lot of learning materials in this great program called Photoshop with me in the class. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.